अगले 30 सेकंड्स में आप बदल सकते हैं अपने लाइफ का ट्रैक एंड नेवर लुक बैक।
यार छोड़ो ये सारे हैक्स एंड सिंपली लर्न टू गेट अहेड।
जैसे कि दानिश, a civil engineer turned data scientist who decided to simply learn.
और कैसे हुआ ये पॉसिबल?
With a course from a premier university, मेरे करियर ने लिया एक नया डायरेक्शन।
True champion who upskilled to win big. How big?
A massive hike that transformed my life.
Danish changed gears pretty early in the race. But Prasan wanted to explore more to get ahead. इसीलिए उसने करा Simply Learn. From mechanical engineering to a data analyst and a podcaster in his free time.
ऐसा करियर ट्रांसफॉर्मेशन कैसे ब्रो?
सिंपलीलर्न के इंडस्ट्री एक्सपर्ट से सीखा लाइव और खुद बन गया डेटा एक्सपर्ट।
इतना कुछ इतनी जल्दी डिफिकल्ट तो रहा होगा।
With a well-structured course, it felt like a piece of cake.
That is simply awesome. What's also awesome is that 9 साल के long career के बाद Nitin didn't choose a quick fix. He just added data science
into the mix. Nitin, how did you change the game?
Worked on real industry problems to become the real deal.
A joint family, a regular job, responsibilities तो बहुत थी, but nothing could stop Nitin from getting ahead. What an all-rounder.
Day ho ya night, with flexible learning, you can always make it right.
Passion या situation चाहे जो भी हो, नितिन, दानिश और प्रसन्न की तरह you too will find your way to get ahead when you simply learn. क्योंकि आपके लिए shortcuts नहीं, simply learn है सही. Get ahead with Simply Learn.
Recording in progress.
Hello and welcome everyone. Hope I'm audible to everyone. Can you please confirm on the chat, everybody? Great, great. Thank you, guys. We'll just wait for a few more minutes before we begin. Hope everybody can see my screen as well. Great, 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 great. Thank you. Meanwhile, everybody joins in. I would request everybody to tell us from where you, which part of the country or the world are you joining us from? You can put in your state or city or country you're joining us from. Delhi, Hyderabad, Mumbai, Ujjain, Chennai, Gujarat, Hyderabad, Pune, UP. That's great to see. We have a wide audience today. Solapur, Maharashtra, Indonesia, Kerala, Bangalore, Odisha. That's good to see. We'll just wait for a few minutes. We are waiting for our guests to join in. Hello and welcome everyone to our webinar today. Just wait for a couple of minutes more before we start. Abhishek will be starting the session in a few more minutes. I was on mute, so that's why I'm not able to get. We're just waiting for our guest and a mentor to join the call. Yes, I'm sorry for the delay, guys, today. We're just being about to begin. Hello and welcome everyone. Welcome to our webinar today. We'll be learning how to deploy a multi-timer web app with Amazon SQS. We will also have a program preview of the IIT Guwahati Professional Certificate Program in Cloud Computing and DevOps today. Our guest for today is Mr. Purshottam Assudani. He'll be joining us in a few minutes. Meanwhile, we can set up some ground rules. Let me set up some ground rules. Hello, Mr. Purshottam, sir. Welcome to our webinar. We were just getting started. So, for the audience, let me put up some ground rules. Yes, you can put up your questions in the Q&A box below. Yes, the session is being recorded, and you can expect a follow-up email with the recording link and webinar certificate. To request for the proof of attendance, you will have to fill up the post-webinar survey, which you will be getting once you leave the webinar. So I request you all to stay till the end of the webinar and fill in the survey as well. Coming to the agenda of the meeting today, we will be obviously discussing about you. Then Dr. Purshottam will be taking us over the multi-timer web app, how you can deploy one with Amazon SQS on Azure. We'll also have the program introduction of the IIT Guwahati program in cloud computing and DevOps, followed by the enrollment steps for the program, and finally we'll have the Q&A session at the end. So I request you all to post your questions in the Q&A box, and please avoid it to add it in the chat so that we don't miss out. Before we begin, I have a quick poll for all of you just to understand the experience level of our audience today. I'll quickly launch the poll. You may be currently studying, you may be 0 to 3 years, 3 to 5 years, or more than 5 years of experience. You can punch in your responses. I would request all the participants to enter their responses. I will keep the poll open for another 5 seconds. I would request all to punch in your experience level. Thank you all. I'll end the poll now. As I can see, almost 30% of our audience is currently studying, 25% of our audience is in the 0 to 3 years bracket, about 14% of our audience is in the 3 to 5 years of experience, and about 32% are in the workforce for more than 5 years. Thank you all for your responses. Moving on. Let me introduce Simplilearn to all our audience today. Simplilearn is the world's #1 online bootcamp. We have been in the industry of digital skills training for about 13 years now, and we have trained over 5 million professionals are in over 150 countries. Let me introduce our guide for today, Mr. Dr. Purshottam Assudani. He is an assistant professor in the IT department of Sri Ramdev Baba College of Engineering in Nagpur. I would request Dr. Purshottam to please introduce himself.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. Thank you, Akshay. Right. So, hello, everyone, and welcome. I welcome all of you here. So, a very good evening to all of you, and good morning and good afternoon to others, those who are in different time zones as well. So, as rightly said, so I've done. I'm working as an assistant professor in information technology department in Sri Ramdev Baba College of Engineering and Management, Nagpur, and I have done my research in resource scheduling in cloud, my PhD in cloud computing from VIT Vellore. I am basically a solutions architect, technology enthusiast, consultant and trainer, certified cloud professional, innovator, and educator. I am Microsoft certified trainer, AWS certified trainer, AWS certified solutions architect professional, which is the top level certification on AWS in the architect domain. AWS certified solutions architect associate, AWS certified practitioner, Microsoft Azure administrator, Oracle certified associate. Working as a corporate trainer, in multiple multinational companies, I've delivered the trainings on AWS, Azure, and GCP. Just to name a few, like Tieto, Capgemini, Mercedes-Benz, R&D clients, Vodafone UK, Terry Africa, etc. for AWS and Azure solutions architect level trainings. Okay. Then I'm also associated with multiple IITs and Caltech University, USA, like an IIT Guwahati, IIT Kanpur for delivering their cloud computing programs through Simplilearn and many others, correct? So that is there, right? So that is in short about me, right? And I specialize in cloud platforms, operating systems, distributed systems, right? So these are my areas of specializations. I'm a Google scholar as well, right? Thank you.
Great, great. Thank you, Doctor. Welcome to our webinar today, and we are honored to have you on board.
Thank you.
Moving on, another quick poll question we want to ask our audience. Why are you attending this webinar today? It can be, I'll just quickly launch the poll. Are you looking forward to become a cloud professional, or are you want to learn a new language or skill, or you're here to understand how cloud computing and DevOps is easy to learn, or are you just interested in working on new projects for your portfolio? I would request all of you to punch in your answers. It's a multiple choice question, so you can multiple options as well. Keep the poll open for another 5 seconds. Thank you all for your responses. Let's begin with our session for today. I will request Dr. Purshottam to take over and explain the project for us today.
Sure. Yeah. Thank you, Akshay. Right, guys. So let's begin with the things then. Right. So we are here to learn as in how to deploy a MultiTimer web application with Amazon SQS on Microsoft Azure. So here we will be using Azure as well as AWS. So I'll be using the Azure compute services like VMs in Azure to deploy my web application on AWS, correct. So I will be using Amazon SQS on AWS plus RDS service to put the data, and we'll be using the servers in Azure to do so. Right. So I will get started. Right. So maybe have the next slide. Yeah. So this is the architectural diagram, guys, that I have specifically drawn for you here. So see, what we are going to do in this project is something that I have tried to specify with this diagram. So see, what we are going to do basically is, first of all, we will go to AWS and we will create a user in AWS. Okay. An IAM user. Okay. And to that user, we will give two policies. Okay. That is an Amazon SQS full access policy. Okay. Now understand this thing very clearly. Okay. Because this is very important. Basically, this is the crux. If you understand this, then of course we will have to go and execute it. Correct. So we'll be specifying two policies. Okay, so we'll create. I'll just create a user in AWS, and then I will give that user the Amazon SQS full access policy and the RDS, that is relational database, full access to that particular user. Correct. Now, why I'm going to give that, guys? Because I'm going to create a SQS queue in AWS and a database that is an RDS database in AWS. So the point is that since this user should have access to that SQS queue plus the database, I will give these policies to my user. Okay, that is to my IAM user. And then the point is, guys, that I will also give the CLI credentials to that user. Okay, so I am going to go to that user and I'm going to activate that user CLI credentials so that this user can log in through CLI, that is command line interface. Okay. So this is what I'm going to do with this user in AWS. Okay. Then what I'm going to do next thing is I'm going to create an SQS queue in AWS. I'll just create a plain SQS queue in AWS. Okay. And then I'll create a database in AWS again, a plain RDS database in AWS. These are the next things that I'm going to do. Now, why I'm going to create the VMs in Azure, I'm coming to that. So just hold on, have patience, and then listen to it, and then see to it that you will get it after this. Okay. So I'll create a SQS queue in AWS, then a database, RDS database server in AWS. And then in that RDS database server, what I'll do is I will just connect through a client from AWS. That can be from my laptop, any client I can use, and I can connect to that database server in AWS. And I'm going to create a database there and a table there. Okay, so I'll create a database and a table there. Okay, and then table that I'm going to create in that database, that will be an empty table initially. Okay, that will not have any records initially. Okay, and then guys, then what I'm going to do is, then I'm going to go to Azure and I'm going to create the servers in Azure. So I am going to create 2 VMs in Azure, 2 servers in Azure. That is a front-end virtual machine in Azure, one virtual machine which I'll use as front-end, and one virtual machine which I'll use as back-end in Azure. Now, why I call them as front-end and back-end VMs, I'll tell you the purpose of that. But see, first of all, let me tell you what this front-end VM is going to do. So the job of this front-end VM, what I'm going to do with this front-end VM is I am going to insert some messages in this SQS queue through this front-end VM of Azure. So now the VM will be in Azure and the messages I will put from my Azure VM, but where I'll put those messages in SQS queue in AWS, correct? So this is cross-platform. Okay, so from Azure VM, I'm going to insert some messages in my AWS SQS queue. So basically SQS is simple queuing service in AWS. Now see, you must be aware about these services, of course, if you have to get this lecture, because the point is that I cannot give you the details of these services because of the timing constraint, and we are here to discuss on these services. So the point is that just I'll give you a gist on this. So SQS is basically a queuing service in AWS in which you can insert the messages and then you can pull those messages and you can process those messages. So it's a pull-based service basically. So if you want to process any message from a queue, so you just pull it from that SQS queue and then you can process it, correct? So any server can do that. So the point is that we are going to put the messages in this SQS queue from our VM of Azure. So this is cross-platform. From Azure VM, we are going to put the messages in AWS queue, SQS queue. And then guys, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my another Azure VM, another Azure virtual machine, and that Azure virtual machine will actually pull the messages from this queue, from this SQS queue, and will not just pull these messages from this SQS queue, but will also put those messages into my RDS database servers database table. Okay, so that messages which this Azure VM will pull from the SQS queue, it will insert it into the AWS RDS database table, correct? So here, this backend Azure VM will do 2 jobs. It will pull the message from the AWS SQS queue and will put it in a table in the AWS RDS database, correct? So that is what this another Azure VM will do. And it will not just pull the messages from this SQS queue, but it will also delete the messages from this SQS queue. So once a message has been pulled from this SQS queue and it has been inserted in my database, in the table in my database, then it should be deleted from this SQS queue. Because see, the job for SQS queue is that once the messages are pulled from an SQS queue and if they are processed, then they should be deleted from that SQS queue so that no other process will process the same messages that are there in the SQS queue. Okay, I mean that are already processed. Those messages should not be processed again. And that's why that would be done once only. So when this backend VM will pull the messages from this SQS queue, it will put it into the table in your database, and also it will delete those messages from this SQS queue, right guys? So that is what the thing will happen here. Now, instead of these Azure VMs, I could have created the VMs in AWS also, the EC2 instances in AWS also. But the title of our webinar is, in fact, we do the same thing in AWS also, but we want to work with multiple clouds. That's the title of our webinar, is that we want to deploy the SQS queue from the Azure VMs. Correct. So the title of our webinar says that we have to make use of Azure service as well and AWS service as well. That's why I'm going to use the VMs in Azure here. Correct, guys. And to put the importance of this IAM user here, see this front end VM, how it would be able to put this messages in the queue, and this backend VM, how it would be able to pull the messages from this SQS queue and will insert it into the table in your database. How they will be able to do it, guys? Because see, these VMs are in Azure, but this SQS queue and the RDS table, the database is in AWS. So how these VMs will be working with these AWS services? So the VMs in Azure, how they will be able to access the AWS services, guys? How they will be able to communicate with AWS services? So for that, this user of AWS will come in picture. So you remember this user that we have created in AWS, we have granted him the CLI access. So we'll grant him the CLI access, and we have given this user the SQS full access plus RDS service full access. So when from the Azure VM, we'll be able to log into this user, IAM user of AWS. Why we'll be able to log in? Because that user will have the CLI credentials, and through the CLI credentials to the access key ID and secret access key of this user, we'll be able to log in with this user in our front end and backend VMs of Azure. And once we are logged in through this user, then these users will have the RDS and SQS full access. So through these users, these front end and backend VMs will be able to access the SQS queue in AWS and the database in AWS. Correct? So that is what is going to happen here. So is it clear to all of you, yeah, that how these Azure VMs will be able to access the SQS queue and the database of AWS with the help of this IAM user in AWS, to which we'll give the RDS and SQS full access, and we'll enable its CLI credentials. So through those CLI credentials, we will log in this user in Azure and AWS VM, and we will access this SQS and the RDS table, right? So this is what we will do it through this user, right? Okay, from these VMs. So is it clear that how these VMs will be able to access these services? In AWS, the SQS and RDS service in AWS, the Azure VMs, how they will be able to access it through this user. So is this clear, guys? Then we'll see it in lab exactly how it would be done. But then is the process clear to you? Is the concept clear to you? Is the architecture clear to you, as in how you have to basically do it? Yes, can you give me a confirmation? Is that clear? Yes, I can see from all of you. Yeah, there's just one we said no maybe. So yeah, so just for that person, I'll just tell you, see, tell you once again. So see, you will log in into your Azure VMs, but you will log in with this user. Now, how will you log in with the AWS user on Azure VMs? Because on the AWS user, you have to, you have enabled what? The CLI access. So it will get the access key ID and secret access key. So with that CLI access, you will be able to log in from this IAM user in your Azure VM. And once you do that, since on those user, you have enabled RDS and SQS full access. So with the help of that user, your VMs will be able to access the SQS and RDS service in AWS. Correct. So that's how it is possible. And yes, it will happen over the internet. There was one query, I think. So yes, these things will happen over the internet. Okay. So that is there. Right. So we will go and we will see this. Right. So may I request now to go to the next slide? So see, the services that we are going to use in this particular project here, we are going to use on the AWS side, we are going to make use of identity and access management, IAM service, as I've already told you. Plus, the SQS simple queue service, then the relational database service, that is RDS. And on the Azure side, we'll be making use of virtual machines, VMs in Azure. Yeah, next, please. So what would be the use of these different services? Okay, so first of all, IAM. So in IAM, I am going to use IAM. So basically with IAM, it will be used to create a user and grant CLI access to it. So I'll create a user in IAM and I'll grant him the CLI access. Then I'll provide RDS and SQS full access policies to the user again. Okay, so to that user, I'll specify RDS and SQS full access policies. I've already shown you in that diagram. Then, of course, with that user, I'll log into Azure VMs also. So to log into Microsoft Azure VMs through this user. So that is what the IAM user's role would be. That is what I'm going to do with IAM here. Next, please. Then with SQS, what I'm going to do, I'm going to create a queue in AWS with SQS queue. Then I will insert the multiple messages to the queue from front-end VMs of Microsoft Azure. So from front-end VM1 of Microsoft Azure, I'm going to put multiple messages to my queue. And then from this queue, I will pull and delete the messages also from the queue and will store it in the RDS database. And that will be made possible through the backend VM of Microsoft Azure. That is maybe backend VM2 of Microsoft Azure. I'm going to do that, right? Next, please. Then, of course, with RDS, we'll use RDS service to create a database and a table in RDS through the RDS client. So we'll create a RDS server first and then database server, and then through we'll create a database and a table in RDS database server through a client. And then we'll store the records retrieved from SQS queue by backend VM2 of Microsoft Azure, correct? So whatever the backend VM2 of Microsoft Azure will retrieve the records from SQS queue, that will be inserted in my RDS database in the table. And of course, we'll be using RDS to provide the results when the records are queried by the client from RDS database. So once the data is present in the RDS database, I'll show it to you. We can retrieve that data from the client of RDS. So we can retrieve the data from the tables in RDS, right? So that's what we will make use of RDS for. Let's go ahead. Next. RDS is basically a relational database service in AWS, correct? Wherein you can create your databases, your tables. Then about Azure VMs. So see, with Azure VMs, so user from AWS IAM, it should be IAM. Okay, so user from AWS IAM will log in to front-end and back-end VM of Azure, correct? So because that user will have the CLI access, and then through that user, I'll be able to log in onto my Azure VMs with those users' credentials through those users. And then front-end Azure VM with that user credential will insert the messages in my AWS SQS queue, and backend Azure VM will pull and delete the messages from AWS SQS queue and will store those messages in my AWS RDS database. So that's what is going to happen, guys. So whatever I had shown you in the diagram, I've just written that in the form of that which service is going to be used in which manner, what we are going to use with which service, guys. So then if you are all good with this, shall we go and maybe we can see a lab on this, right, guys? So shall we go and see a lab on this then? Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yeah, you can take over.
Okay, please. So yeah. So maybe if you can give me the access, yeah. So I'll just share my screen and then we'll get started with the lab. Okay, fine. I hope you can see my screen, and I'll just get into AWS maybe first. Okay, so first I'll go to AWS. Okay, so I'll just go to aws.amazon.com. I'll log in into my AWS console, guys. Just give me a moment. Let me get in the username and password. Where it is, yeah, here it is. Okay, I'll just say sign into the console. Fine. So I'll just go with the root user. So I'll say group. One second. Password, I'll just give it. Okay. So see, we are seeing to set up the decoupling of MultiTimer web application deployed on Azure platform using SQS service offered by AWS, correct? Okay, so the steps that we are going to follow, guys, here, I can just put it in the notepad also here a bit. So see, we'll create access key pairs in AWS IAM service by creating the user. Then we'll create SQS queue in AWS. We'll create RDS MySQL database instance in AWS. We'll create 2 virtual machines in Azure. Then we'll structure the VMs as backend and front end by using the Python scripts. And then we will see the testing of our application. Correct, guys? So let's do it. Let's do it one by one. So let's first create the user in IAM. Okay. So I'll just go to IAM service here and we'll create a user in IAM. So I'll go to users and then I'll say create a user. Okay. And I can give any name to this user, guys. Okay. So I can give any name to my user. Let's say I'll give it a name as user1. Okay. And then I will provide him the management console access. I'll give him a password. Okay. And then I'll just go next. Now see, I will attach some policies to this user. Okay. And which policy, guys? I told you. Amazon SQS full access and RDS full access. So you can just search for those policies here. Okay. So I can just say SQS full access. See, Amazon SQS full access, you get it. So just select this and then the other one, I can just say RDS full access. So I'll just say RDS full access. So you need to give these policies, isn't it? Otherwise, you will connect through this user on your Azure VMs. But if these users don't have these policies, so how will you be able to access the RDS database and your SQS queue from Azure VMs with the help of this user? So this user should have that access. Okay. Fine. So that's what I'm specifying this user the access to SQS queue full access and RDS full access. Okay, so these 2 accesses provided and that's it. And then we can just say review and create and we can create this user, guys. Okay, so we can just create this user. So now see, we have created this user. So this is all good. Now we can just return to the users list. I'll say continue. I remember the username and password of this user. So now, guys, the next thing is I am going to go to the security credentials of this user. Now, I am going to do what? I am going to enable the CLI access for this user. Okay. So I'll just go to security credentials of this user. Correct. And this is an important step. So see, in security credentials, I am going to go to what? Not the access keys directly, but I am going to go to one second. I'm going to go to security credentials and then I'm going to go to create an access key. Of course, in access keys, I'm going to say create access key. Now, when I say create access key, so it will create the access key ID and secret access key. Now you can yourself tell me which option I'll go with. CLI, local code, application running on an AWS compute service, third-party service, application running outside AWS, other. So can I not go with application running outside AWS? You plan to use this access key to authenticate workloads running in your data center or other infrastructure outside of AWS that needs to access your AWS resources. Correct, guys? Yes or no? So shall I not be choosing this? Yes? So that with this user, I can provide my Azure VMC access to my AWS resources. Can you please confirm? Yeah. So shall I not give this access, this CLI key I should generate? Yes or no? You can give a yes or no in the chat window. So through this access key of my AWS user, I can just log in from my Azure VMs, isn't it? To this user. Yes or no, guys? You can put up a yes or no, right? I can see a yes, I think. No, I won't select normal CLIs. In CLI, I'll select this because I want to provide my Azure VMC access to AWS services like SQS and RDS. So I'll go with this option, application running outside AWS. Correct? Okay, fine. Right, Kasmuddin? Okay. So I'll go with this and then I'll say next. And I'll say create access key. And guys, do save this access key ID and secret access key because this is going to be required. So you can download it, correct? So when you will connect to this user from Azure VM, so this access key ID and secret access key is something that I'm going to need at that time, correct? So it has been downloaded in my downloads, correct? I can just open it. Later I can use it as well, correct? So this is the access key ID and secret access key of this user. All good. I've created this user. All fine, guys. Now, before going to Azure VMs and connecting to my SQS queue and RDS in AWS from my Azure VMs through this IAM user, guys, I'll have to create the SQS queue and the RDS database in AWS first, isn't it? Yeah. So shall I go and create the SQS queue and the RDS database server in AWS, guys, and then go to the Azure VM? Yeah. Can I get a confirmation here? Shall I go and create the SQS queue and the RDS database then? Yeah. Yes. Okay. Let's go and do that then. So I'll just go to SQS then and we'll create a queue in SQS. Right then. So let me create a queue in Amazon SQS in AWS. Okay. So I have searched for SQS service and then I will go with simple queue service. Okay. And then I'll create a queue. So I'll just go with standard queue and then I will give it a name. Let's say I will give it any name. So I'll give it a name. Let's say demo queue, demo hyphen queue. Okay, and then I will keep all other things as default and I'll just create this queue. Okay, I am not discussing on any other thing, guys, because I'm not discussing on SQS here, correct? Okay. So I will leave all other things as default and just I will go and create this queue. Okay. One second. Yeah. So let me just create this queue. Now see, once this queue is created, guys, just copy the URL and ARN of this queue. This may be required later. So I'll just copy the URL of this queue because this is going to be required later. Okay, and then I can just put it maybe here. I can put the SQS URL. Okay, and then I can put the ARN of SQS queue. So I can just save it here. SQS ARN. Okay, I'll just minimize it. I will need the URL at least at the later stage. Correct. So I've just created the queue, just specified the name of the queue and then all default settings, and that way I have created this queue, guys. Now, let's go to RDS and create a database server in RDS. Correct. So let's do that. So create the RDS MySQL database instance in AWS. Okay. So let's do that. So I'll just search for RDS service now, relational database service, and we'll go and do that. So let's do that. Okay, and I'll say what? Create a database here in RDS. And then I'll just go with this option. Let's say standard create. Okay. And then I will choose the engine. So I want to create what? Aurora database, MariaDB, PostgreSQL. Which database? I want to create MySQL database. So I'll go with MySQL. Then I'll go with what? The free tier option, guys. Okay. So MySQL, the default version I can go with, whatever is shown here. And then I'll go with the free tier option because I don't want to get charged for this. I can create an RDS database in production or dev test environment. Again, guys, I'm not here to actually teach you on RDS service if that would otherwise would have been a separate session. I'm just using this database wherein I assume that you know RDS, or even if you don't know, you are coming to know that how you can create your database in RDS, correct? So I'm just going with the free tier here. Then select the template type as free tier. Then of course, no, they are PaaS-based resources, Abhishek, right? Okay, RDS and SQS, platform as a service, these components, right? Okay, then guys, okay, free tier I'll go with, and then in the database instance identifier, I can give any name. So let's say I'll give the name as AWS Gurus. Okay. Then in the password, like master username, again, I can give any name. Let's say I again give the name as AWS Gurus. Okay. And then in the password, I'll again say, let's say AWS Gurus. And then I'll confirm the password as again AWS Gurus. Okay, guys, just for the purpose of remembrance, I'm just giving the same names. Then this is all good. Instance configuration, I can go with DBT3 micro, that is fine. And then the storage, I'm good with 20 GB of storage here. Storage auto scaling, I don't want. Then connectivity, I don't have an EC2 instance to connect to this RDS resource, right? So I'll say don't connect to an EC2 compute resource, that's fine. VPC, I can go with default VPC and default subnet. Now, public access, I'll say yes, guys. Now, why I'll say public access as yes, guys? Because I want to access this RDS database from my Azure VM, correct? So, public access has to be yes. Okay, because from Azure, I'm going to use AWS database here, and that is over the internet. So, public access has to be yes. So, it can be no if you want to access, let's say, this RDS database from EC2 instance of AWS only. Correct. So you can keep public access as no, but if you want to access it from outside of AWS, let's say on premises or Azure VM, so then you'll have to give the public access as yes. That's what I say here. And then that's it. And then I would do what? See, security group, I can go with the default security group. That's not a problem. Okay. So I'll just put some rule in that security group later, but I can right now go with the default security group. And availability zone, no preference. That's all fine. And that's it, guys. And then what I can do is I can just create this database. Okay. Fine. This is not required. Then password authentication is good enough. Okay. So I can just create this database. Okay. So I'll just hit on create this database server. Okay. So I'll just say create database. Fine. So I've created this RDS database server. It's almost getting created. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to, once this is created, so let it create. Until that point, what I will do is I'll open Cloud Shell in AWS, guys, that I can use as my client, as my database client. Okay, through this Cloud Shell in AWS, I can just connect to my, connect to what? Connect to my RDS database server here. Correct. I can just show you this diagram. Okay. See this diagram I had shown you, na? So not this one, maybe. Not this one. Not too sure. Right. So this will be my client. So client will connect to this database server and will create a database and the table in my database server. So this, as a client, I can use a client from, I mean, I can install a MySQL client on my local machine on my laptop, and through that also I can connect to my database server, or I can use as a MySQL client. I can also use this what I can also do it through Cloud Shell in AWS, correct? So that I can make it work as my MySQL client, and through that I can connect to this database server. So I'll open up this Cloud Shell here, correct? So through this Cloud Shell also I can connect to my database server, so that can also act as my client, isn't it? So on this Cloud Shell, I will have to install what? I will have to install the CLI, MySQL CLI, correct? So I'll have to install the MySQL CLI. So for that, maybe the command will be sudo yum update and sudo yum install MySQL. Okay. So I'll just use the command sudo yum update and sudo yum install MySQL. I'll just give that command here, sudo yum update and sudo yum install MySQL. So this will install MySQL plus, update it will do, and then it will install the MySQL as well. So this will install MySQL here. Okay. So I'll say yes, no, whatever. So I'll just say yes. Why? See, so this is good. MySQL, in my AWS Cloud Shell, I've installed the CLI, and then I can connect to my database server and create the database and the table in my database server from this Cloud Shell, because the CLI, AWS CLI has been installed here. Right, guys. But before I do that, before I connect to my database server from this AWS Cloud Shell, this client, maybe I'll just first go to my RDS database and see to it if it has been created. So once it gets created, I will just copy its endpoint. Okay. Okay, so I'll just copy its endpoint, and then I am going to also modify the security group. Okay, because I will allow the MySQL traffic to come on this database server. So I will allow the traffic to come from port 3306, which is nothing but what? MySQL, which will allow traffic, that is MySQL traffic, to come to this database, right? What was the command to install CLI? Okay, I will give you that command in the chat window, maybe here, because there are some good number of commands that are going to follow later. Okay, the database is yet getting created, guys. Okay. Okay, now it is successfully created, the database, correct? Okay, and once it is created, so I will just go to this database, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to get its endpoint and I'm going to save it somewhere, because this is again later I'm going to require it, correct? To connect to this database from my Azure VMs. So I'm going to copy this endpoint, guys, and I am going to go here, and then I can say RDS endpoint. This again would be required later. Correct. So this is again the next thing that I have done here. Fine. This is good. Now, next what I'll do is I'll just go to the security group of this RDS instance. That was the default security group. So that is available in EC2 service. So I'll just go to EC2 service and then I'll go to the security group here. Where is my security group? Here it is. Okay. And I'm going to go to that particular security group, guys. Okay, now which default security group is that? Okay, maybe I have two, so I will just, I'm not sure which default security group is associated with my RDS instance. So maybe in both the security groups, I'll just give that rule. One is associated with my RDS instance, or otherwise go to your RDS instance and see which security group it is. Or I'll just go to both the default security groups and I'll put that particular rule. That is 3306 traffic to come from anywhere. Okay. In the inbound port rules, I'll just edit it. And I would, okay, this is already given 3306 to come from anywhere in this security group. So I'll not change this. I'll go to the another security group. Okay, this is 7D. This is done. So I'll go to another security group. And here in the inbound port rules, I will allow what? I will edit the inbound security group rules. Okay, maybe here also I have it. Okay, I will say add rule and then I'll say custom TCP. And then I would go with what? 3306. But that is already allowed, guys. And I will allow it from anywhere IPv4. It's already allowed, I think. Okay, that is already allowed. So I don't need to give it again. See, on this security group, it is already allowed MySQL Aurora traffic to come, which works on port 3306 to come from anywhere. Sources 0.0.0.0/0. So that is allowed. So I don't need to put it again. And even in the other security group also, in the other default security group also, it is allowed. If this would have not been allowed, I had created it before, guys. That's why it is allowed. But in your case, it won't be allowed. So then you will have to go to the inbound rules and you will have to add it, the inbound rules, and you'll have to add this traffic. So what you will be doing is you will edit this and then you will say add a rule and you will say custom TCP, maybe port 3306. And then you will say to allow it from anywhere IPv4. Okay, so this is what you will have to do. Well, I had done it before. That's why it is already allowed. Okay, fine. So this is all good. Fine. So this is all good. So this security, I mean, port 3306 traffic, the MySQL Aurora traffic is allowed to come on this RDS database server. So this is all fine. Correct. Fine. So now let's go to this particular client that is from my Cloud Shell where my CLI is installed. From this Cloud Shell client, I will connect to my database server, RDS database server. So I have a command to connect, guys, and that command I'm going to use here. So the command is like this. I can just give it to you, this command, and I can just put it here. And then I'm going to change it. So see, MySQL U and then -u and then admin. So username I have to give. Anyways, my username is not admin, guys, but it is AWS Gurus. So I'll just modify this. And then P, and then the RDS instance endpoint. So whatever, and then port 3306, it will work. On that, it will connect. But RDS instance endpoint, you'll have to give. So that endpoint you had copied, guys, and put it in your notepad. So just, I had copied it in my notepad. So I'll get that endpoint and then I'll put it there. Correct. So I'm going to paste it here so that I can connect to my database server from this client, from this Cloud Shell, and then I can create my database in the table. Correct. Okay. So I'll just execute this. So see, it's asking me for the password now. Now, of course, I know the password is what? AWS Gurus. See, I'm connected. Correct. So when I type the password, it doesn't appear because it's a password. So in Linux, it doesn't appear here. But then I had entered the password and I'm connected to my MySQL stuff. Okay. So now let's create a database here. Okay. So what I'll do is I'll first create a database. So maybe any name I can give to my database. So let's say I'll say create database. And then the database name. So I'll say create database, and then the database name is, let's say, demo. So I'm creating a database here, semicolon, I'll say. So the syntax is create database demo. So I've created this database demo, guys. Okay, and then I will use this database. So I'll say use demo because I have to create the table inside this database. So I'll say use demo. So I'm inside my database now. See, I'm in demo now. And now I'll create a table here. Okay, so what I will give the command to create a table, guys, I'll give the command to create a table. So I can create a table with any name, and then I'll also have to specify the data types and stuff that I have to specify here. No, leave it. Yeah, P for password, you can take it up, but then password after that we are providing it, correct? Okay, and see, I can give you the commands here for creating the table. And of course, to create a database, it was create database and then database name. That was the command, guys. Okay, to create a database. Of course, there was a semicolon after that, and then use database name. That's what I use. And then I created this table. I have to create this table. So I'll just create this table. So see, what I'm specifying is, see, this is what. Text that is copied from external sources can contain malicious script. Verify the scripts, verify the text below before passing. I'm good with this. So see, it will create table customers. Okay. And then the name of the, inside that table customers, I'm creating two fields in its schema, that is name and address field, and name will be having the data type varchar 30 character type it would be, and it should not contain a null value, and address also is character type 30 the size would be, and then it should not contain a null again. Okay, so see, query okay, 0 rows affected. So I've been able to create this database and the table inside the database, guys. And of course, if I say DESC, and then if I give the table name, so I will be able to see the table schema here. So see, this table contains name, address, correct? But will I be able to select any rows from this table, guys? So if I say select star from table name, will I be able to get anything? Will I be able to get anything from this table? The answer is no. Why? See, no rows, empty set. Why? Because we have not inserted any data in this table, correct? So that we will insert it from the backend VM of Azure, and the backend VM of Azure will get that data from the SQS queue. It will pull it from the AWS SQS queue, and AWS SQS queue will have that data, will get that data from the front end Azure VM, correct? Okay. So from the front end Azure VM, we'll put the data in SQS queue of AWS, and then from that SQS queue of AWS, we'll pull the data through our backend Azure of through our backend VM of Azure, and then from that backend VM of Azure, we'll try to insert that data into this table of my database, and then I will query. Then after that, if I'll query that particular table from my client from this Cloud Shell, okay, so I will see those records in the table, which I don't see right now. Is it clear till this point, guys? Yes. Is this clear? So if this is clear, maybe I'm almost done with the AWS part of it. Okay, so then I have to go into Azure and create the two VMs in Azure. See, we created the SQS queue, we created the RDS database server, the database, the table in that. Through our client, we created the database and the table. And then what? Now is the, and we have also created an IAM user. We have assigned Amazon SQS full access and RDS full access to it. We have the CLI credentials for our IAM user. Now let's go to Azure and let's create two VMs in Azure, which I've already created, guys, because of time constraint. So I've already created the VMs in Azure, correct? And then through those VMs, I'll just log into my user of AWS, correct? And then through my user of AWS, I'll log in on this VMs, and then I will use some commands. I'll install the Python script, and then through that script, I will connect to my SQS queue, and then RDS and we'll do the things here. Okay. So let's go and do that. So let's go to Azure. Correct. So are you good till this point? See, Abhishek, why both VMs are in Azure, not one in Azure, not one in AWS? See, you can have both the VMs in AWS. You can have both the VMs in Azure. You can have one VM in Google Cloud Platform, one in Azure. Absolutely your choice. Okay. In fact, the similar kind of lab I've been taking up in only AWS also. In only AWS also. For that, the diagram is just similar I've drawn. Just that the diagram here says instead of 2 VMs in Azure, they are the 2 VMs in AWS only, EC2 instances, correct? But then I would need that user there. I mean, I can just work with roles and then stuff that I had done in AWS, correct? But here we are seeing multi-cloud thing, correct? Okay, yeah. Anusha, so see, we can create any VMs in Azure, Windows, Linux. I've created the Linux VMs in Azure, correct? Fine. Okay, guys. So I hope I'm taking you along, guys. You people are getting it, okay? Although it is not the basic stuff that we are discussing here. You should be good with these services to understand this. But I'm taking you along here, isn't it? Right? I'm making sure that thing. Okay, fine. So let's get ahead. So may I get a confirmation? Yeah, are you all good till this point? Yes. Yes, you're enjoying it. Yeah. Are those VMs in private subnet? No, those VMs are in public subnet that I've created, right? Okay, and I have assigned them the public IPs. Okay, good. Fine. So here we go, guys. And then, see, I have created 2 VMs in AWS already. Okay. And those VMs are, which VMs? My front-end VM1 and that is in RG1 resource group. Created that already. The backend VM2 and the front-end VM1. I've already created those VMs. Is there a significance of both VMs in Azure? See, as far as the significance you would say, na, so here I'm telling you this scenario with multi-cloud. See, multi-cloud is the era. Correct. Now, it is like your organization or maybe anybody's organization. Nowadays, see, you normally don't go with just one VM. Okay, I mean, sorry, you normally just don't go with one cloud provider. If you have to use public cloud platform, let's say you use some services from one cloud and some services from the other cloud platform. So then if that is the case, let's say we are using the VM service in Azure and maybe the other services in AWS, how can we connect with them? Correct. So I'm showing you that thing. So you can do the same task with AWS VMs also, and you not go with multi-cloud platform, but then multi-cloud is the era. Because normally organizations are into multiple clouds, and that's why you're learning multiple clouds. And then if you're learning multiple clouds, you should also know that how you can connect those clouds. Correct. So there are different ways of connecting. You can provide site-to-site connectivity and between the networks also of Azure, AWS, correct. And yeah, so basically in this lab, that's why we are using some services from AWS, some from Azure to also show you that how you can work with multi-clouds here. Correct. Not just for saying, but I'm showing you how you can do it. Why can't we use Terraform? See, you can always use it. No worries. See, you can create your VMs in Azure through ARM templates also. You can create them through Terraform as well. You can always do it. Right, Abhishek? Yeah, got it? Good. Okay. Yeah, and yeah. So the other guy who has asked, maybe the numbers are written. So I hope that is clear to you. Right. So now, guys, see, I've already created this VM. So I'm not going to create the VMs again, but I'll just show it to you. So while I created these VMs, so what the things I had done. 1 second before that, I'll just delete this resource group so that you don't have any confusion here. Because this is not required here for me. Test RG, which has just the test VM. Okay. Now, let me just quickly show you that which VM I had created and which configuration I've specified. Okay, because I had already created that VM so to save time, but I can just show it to you what I had done while creating the VM. See, one thing when you have to create your VMs in Azure, you have to create it inside a subscription and a resource group. Okay, any resource in Azure, and I am creating it in MSDN platform subscription. Being a Microsoft certified trainer, I have access to MSDN platform subscription. Correct? Okay. Sure. Yeah. Fine. I'm doing that anyways, right? So then the virtual machine name, see, I had given the virtual machine name, then the region name, then availability zone. If required, I'd given it. If not, I'd just said no infrastructure redundancy. Then I had gone with Ubuntu server, guys, Ubuntu 20.4, and then I'd given the SSH public key, and then in that I'd given the username, and then I had generated a key pair. Okay, and then I had given SSH and HTTP maybe, and that way I have created 2 VMs. Okay, once I've created these VMs, guys, okay, so now I will just show you how I can connect to those VMs, and then we will install some scripts. So I'll just go to front-end VM, okay, and then I'll connect to this front-end VM. So I'll just go to connect, and then so I'll go to connect, and then I'll just go to Bastion here. So I'll go to Bastion host. Okay, because I've created a Bastion host also to securely connect to my VM. So you can just create and then you can connect through it. So this is the username for my VM. And I had given a SSH private key from that I had generated while I was creating the VM. So I'll just take that front-end VM1 key.pem, that is, and I'll say connect. So this will connect to my VM1. Okay, and similarly, then I'll connect to my VM2 as well. So I'll just go to backend VM, and then, so to do it faster only, I've just created these VMs before only, Akshay, right? So because it takes time to create the actually the Bastion host otherwise, right? So then I'll go to backend VM. And then I'll go to Bastion here, and then I'll give the username here again. And then, of course, the SSH private key file from local file, and then I'll give that here, backend VM2, and then I'll say connect. So I'll connect to this particular backend VM as well. So see, I'm connected to my front-end VM and I am connected to my backend VM, correct? So front-end VM and backend VM, I am connected to, guys, correct? So this is my front-end VM, Puru at front-end VM, and then this is my backend VM, correct? Now let's put some scripts here and let's execute it. Then, okay. Yeah, VMs can have same username, okay? So that's not a problem. Yeah. Purpose of remembrance, I've given them the same name. Okay, so now guys, let's go with some commands and let's do it here then. Okay, so first of all, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to enter this command name on both the VMs. So I'll say sudo apt get update on both the VMs to update the things. Okay, so I'll just give this command on this VM also, front-end VM as well. And I'll just put it on the backend VM as well. Okay, I can give it to you in the chat window as well. Okay, so I'm not taking the queries here because we are running short of time here. So I'll just quickly do this. Okay, so I've just put sudo apt get update on both the VMs, guys, and this is done. This is installed, and then I'll say sudo. So then I'll install the AWS CLI on both of my VMs, correct? So AWS CLI I'll install because I have to connect through that user, AWS user, through its access key ID and secret access key, correct? So I'll just install what? The AWS CLI on both the users, on both the VMs, correct? So I will just say AWS, sudo apt get install AWS CLI. Okay, I will give it to you in the chat window. Again, this command. So see, I will say why or no. I'll say why here, where it is, man, here, why. I'll say, and I'll enter here. And then I'll put it on the backend VM as well. AWS CLI. I'll just go with why here as well. Okay, so let it install. And then I will just log in with that user one of AWS, guys. So for that, I'll give the command AWS configure. Okay, and then I'll give that user's credential, that AWS user credential, through which we want to log into Azure VMs, correct? So through AWS user, we'll want to log into the Azure VM. So I'll give that user credentials. For that, I'll say AWS configure here first, correct? So let it execute, and then I'll say AWS configure, and then I'll put that user's access key ID and secret access key to log in with that user on my front-end VM of Azure and back-end VM of Azure. Okay, so I'll just do that. So let it happen, and then I will just go and do that. Yeah, I hope it would be done. You can try it out, Satyajit. Okay, so I think it's almost done now. On backend VM also, it's getting done. Yeah, it is done. So now let's say AWS configure, guys, here. Okay, I'll just give it to you in the chat window. AWS configure it is the command. Okay, now I'll say AWS configure, and then I'll say enter, and it will ask me for the access key ID of that user and secret access key. Now this command is working because I've installed the AWS CLI on this VM, correct? With that command, that's why. So access key ID, I'll just get it from here. Okay, before I get access key ID, I'll just run the same command on the second VM also, AWS configure, and I'll put the access key ID on both the VMs to make it faster. I'll just copy this, and then I will put it on my backend VM, plus I'll put it on my front-end VM. Then it asks me for the secret access key, so I'll get the secret access key, guys. I'll copy this, and then I will put it on my front-end VM. I will also put it on my backend VM. Correct. And then the region name. So you can give any name, any region name. So maybe you can give any region name. So let's say in AWS, it is like you can give it as US East 1, the region name. Okay. So maybe US East 1 for North Virginia. You can give any name, guys. That's not a problem. So this is the region code. So I'm saying US East 1. And then the output format. So it can be table format, text format, or JSON format. I'll just go with table format. So I'm done. I'm logged in with Puru at backend VM2. Okay, I mean, I'm logged in with that user, AWS user now. Okay, and then I will give it here also. The region maybe as a US East 1. And then the output format may be a stable format. Okay, so I'm done. I am logged in with those users, correct? Now we will set up the VMs as front-end and back-end VMs by using the Python scripts. Okay, so I'll first say apt-get install y Python. Okay, so I'll install the Python here on both the VMs. So I'll just give this command here. And 1 second, permission denied. What happened to this? Okay, so why permission denied, guys? Because I'm not in the super user. So I'll have to come to super user, and then I'll have to execute this command. So I'll just come to super user then. So I'll say sudo su. Okay. And then I will say what? Apt get update. I can just give it apt get update. I can say apt hyphen get and then update maybe, right? Okay, so I'll just say hyphen apt get update. Okay, I'll just execute this. And then I will say what? Then I'll say apt get install ypython. Okay. Now it would be done. Okay, I can give you that in the chat window, but before that, I'll just do it on my other VM also. So I'll say sudo su. Then I'll say apt get update. and then I'll give that command by Python. Okay, I can give it to you in the chat window. Sudo su and then apt get update, and then I'll give you that command as well quickly here. Okay, fine. Okay, so we are done with this. Now we'll say apt install Python 3 pip. IP address I'll install. Okay, so I'll just do it on both the instances. This is on the first instance. So I'm setting up this environment, guys, correct? So I'll say Y here. And I'll say Y here as well. Okay, on this VM. Maybe I've done it. Okay, I'll just say again. Okay, so I'll say Y. Okay, I can give it to you as well. And then I'll install the Boto3 library, correct, of Python to let the things happen, because I want to put the things in my SQS queue also, right? Okay, so I'll say pip install Boto3. Let me see, it's done here. So I'll just install pip install Boto3. I'll give it to you. I'll put it on my another VM also. Okay, then I'll put this command, python, get install python. I think this is already done, but I'll just execute it once again. I'll give it to you. And then what? See, I'm already in the super user, correct? So I don't need to do sudo su again. So I'll say apt get update also I had done before. I'll just do it again. Apt get update. And then I'll say apt get install ypython. Okay. Yeah, I'll do that. I will run that script as well. Install Python. Okay, install. So it's done here. So here also I will do that. Apt get update. 1 second. Install. And okay, I think you had already done this. So apt get update, I can just put it again, but I think you have already done that before we have done that, but I'll just put it again. And then of course, this command also I can give it to you. Install Python. Okay, fine. So this is there. And then, okay, maybe I'll say apt install Python 3 pip again on both the VMs. This is the command for the same. It's already done. Okay, done before. This was done anyways. Okay, maybe I'll just put it again. Pip install Boto3. Okay, and I can give it to you, this one. Here also I'll put that. Okay, fine. And then what I'll do, guys, I'll install MySQL connector for Python on the backend VM, not on the front-end VM. That is not required. Okay. So on the backend only, I'll just install the MySQL connector for Python, because that I mean, your backend VM only wants you connect to the MySQL, correct? Not the front-end VM. So this command that I'm going to give you now needs to be done only on the backend VM. Correct. You can do it on the front-end VM also, but then that is not required. Okay. So that is there. Fine. So on the backend VM, I will just go and I will just give this command. pip install MySQL connector Python. Okay. And then what? Yeah. Fine. So this is good. Maybe. Okay. Front-end VM. I think I had closed it. So I'll again connect to my front-end VM, and then I will create a file on my front-end VM now. Okay. So I'll just go to my front-end VM. I'll just close it. Anyways, I had executed those commands, so I don't need to execute them again. So I will just go to Bastion and will connect to my front-end VM again. And I'll give the script. Now I'll give the script that will insert the records in my SQS queue, correct? So I'm on my front-end VM now, correct? So now what I am going to do is I am going to create a file here, correct? So I am going to create a file here, correct? Okay. So for that, I am going to do what? I'm going to create a script here. Is the required Python connector only on backend or both? Only on backend, that should be good, Anusha, right? If you want to do it on front end, you can do it, but that is not required. Okay. So now I will just create a file here. Okay. So what is the file name? I can just specify. So I can just say maybe sudo nano. I can just create a file here. Okay. Send message.py or any file. So I'll just say sudo nano. Okay. Sorry. I can just say sudo nano. And then the file name I can give it. It can be what? Send message.py. I can give any name to my file. Let's say send message.py. Okay. So I'll just create this file, send message.py. And now in this file, I'm going to put this script, guys. So I can just show you that script, what I am going to put there. Okay, so this is the script maybe that I am going to put here, or I can just show it to you in the chat window here. So see, this is the script, on the notepad here. So I can give you the script as well in the chat window here. So see, in this, I'm going to say import sys, import Boto3 library, because I've already installed that, included that. Then Boto3.client SQS, then Q URL. So here I'll have to give that SQS queues URL that I had copied from Amazon SQS and I had put it here. See, SQS URL. So that I will put it here. Correct, guys. So I will just replace this with this Q URL. Correct. So I'll just get this Q URL from here itself and I'll just put it here itself. Correct. Okay, so I'll just paste it here itself. Right. And then responses sqs.send message. So that will send the message body, print message ID. Correct. So then let me copy this script and put it here. So see, SQS queue, your SQS queue URL, you'll have to put it there. So I'll just copy this and then I will just go here and I'll just paste it here. Correct. Okay, so I have just pasted it here. Okay, but I don't see it in the nicest way. So maybe I'll go through VI editor. So I'll just say Control X and I'll just say Control X and then I'll say no. I'll not save it. I'll just go through VI editor. So I'll say VI, and then what? Send message, send underscore message .py. I'll go with, and then I will put this script here. Okay, now this is good. Seems good. Okay, and then I will say escape colon WQ. Okay, so I am out of that. Okay, so instead of the nano, I'm going with VI editor, and then I'm putting that script. And that is what I have put that script, guys, now. Okay, now this is all good. Okay. Okay, now I can give the commands to actually send the data to my SQS queue. Okay, so for that, the command is Python 3 send message.py, and then the message that I want to put. So maybe I can just use this command. Maybe I can just say, sorry, what have I done? Oh man, I've again pasted that same thing. Why am I doing that? Okay, just ignore this. Okay, so now get this command because I just pasted that script file again here. That is not required. So see, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to execute this command, Python 3 send underscore message. Python 3 send underscore message. And then whatever the message I want to put in my SQS queue. So I'll just try to execute this. Okay, that I is missing. Okay, in the import. Okay, so I'll just go to my file, VI file. Okay, maybe I'll just say VI. And then what is there? Python 3. Python 3. No, sorry, VI send message.py. Send underscore message .py. Okay, this in the import, the I is missing. Okay, so I'll just go to insert mode and I will put that I here. Okay, and now it's good. I'll say escape colon WQ to save and exit. And then I will just put that command that is Python 3 send message. And which message I'm trying to send? Peter USA. See, it has been sent into my SQS queue. I'll try to put another message. Okay, from my Azure VM, I'm trying to put this message and it is getting put, guys. I mean, it is getting inserted. So maybe another message I'll just put in here. I will say Peter USA. Instead of that, I will say Simon Australia, maybe, or any message. So Simon Australia. Okay, so now this message would be there in the queue. Okay, so this is also inserted. So let me put another message, maybe the third message here. So I'll say Clark, Germany. Clark, Germany. Okay, and then guys, I'll show you the beauty. Okay, we'll go to our SQS queue and we'll see those messages there. Okay, so see, we have put these 3 messages in our SQS queue from our Azure VM. Now let's go to AWS. Let's go to AWS and let's go to SQS queue in AWS. Okay, so I'll just go to SQS queue and you will see those messages in SQS queue in AWS, correct? So you will see those messages, guys. So if you go to this queue, see, there are 3 messages here itself. It was showing. It shows me 2 messages. I'll just refresh it. See, 3 messages are available, correct? Okay, so it is 3 messages. Yeah, like RabbitMQ. Yeah, SQS queue. Correct. So you have 3 messages. In Azure, the option you have got with service bus. Okay, like SQS in AWS. So here you have got 3 messages and you can poll those messages, guys. So you can say, you can go to send and receive messages, and then you can see there are 3 messages and you can say poll. You don't see those messages, so you can say poll for messages. Okay, and then you will see those messages. See, you see those messages. If you click here, you will see Simon Australia, correct? Then the second one, Peter USA, right? Then the third one, Clark Germany. Is it not good, guys? Yes. Is it clear to you? Yes. Is it clear till this point? Yes. So from our front-end VM of Azure, we are able to push the messages. We are able to insert the messages in SQS queue. We have done till this point. Is it clear till this point? Yes, quickly, if you can tell me. So then we will go, yeah. So then we'll go to backend VM of Azure, and then we will try to pull this messages from our SQS queue of AWS, and we will insert it in the table of our AWS in RDS, and then we will query the table of our RDS through the client of AWS, and then we'll be able to see those messages there in the table. Correct? Okay, so that's what we'll do then. Okay, so this is done now. Fine. So now I will go to the Azure backend. Okay, so I'll go to where? I'll go to the backend of Azure. Okay, so I'll just go to the backend of Azure anyway. So this is front end. So backend, I'll just connect to my backend VM in Azure. And I just switched it off. So very systematically teaching. Yeah, thank you. Thanks for the appreciation. Yeah. So that keeps me motivated. So now let me just go to the backend VM of Azure. I'll just go to local file, backend VM2. Now it's just that we are coming to the end only. Okay. So now we are into the backend VM of Azure, guys, and then I'll create a maybe I will just create a script here also, get message.py script, a Python script here as well. Okay, so I'll just give it maybe vi, what I'll say, vi get message, get underscore message. I can give any name. Okay, .py. Okay, so I'll just get inside this, and here what I'm going to put, guys, so I'll just show it to you. Okay, now this script has some good lines, so I'll just put it here. Okay, maybe I'll just show it to you here. So I'll just go here. And I can give it to you in the chat window as well, guys. Oh, where is that? Why not put that? Is it not getting put in the chat window? So here in the chat window, see, I had put the first script, but then the second script is not getting copied in the chat window. I don't know why. I said everyone, I'm saying paste, but why it is not getting copied? I don't know why, but somehow it is not getting pasted in your chat window, the second script. Anyways, don't worry. Let me explain you, and then I will put this notepad itself here, right? Okay. Right, so I'll just do that. Just a second. Yeah, so let me just put this. So let me explain you. Import time library, then import Boto3, import MySQL connector, then the Q URL. So here I'll have to give the Q URL, correct? So SQS Q URL. So what was that? This was it, correct? So this is the SQS, because see, this script will not just put the messages in your database in AWS, but will also get those messages from SQS queue and then will put it in the database, correct? So this is the Q URL, correct? And then specify the, so it will get the data from this SQS queue, then specify the database details. So here I'll have to give the database host name, guys. Okay, so host name of the database, I had saved it here somewhere, RDS endpoint, correct? So that I have to give here, AWS gurus dot something something. If you don't remember, you can get it from AWS itself, correct? So for that, you will have to go to RDS and then you will have to get it from there. If you don't remember, then you'll have to go here. And then you will have to get it from the databases here. The endpoint and port. So endpoint, you can get it from here. But anyways, we do have it. So I'll just copy it from here itself. And then I will just put it where, guys? in the database details here. Okay, so this is good. Now username is what? So my username is AWS Gurus, guys. It's not admin. I know that, correct? Otherwise, you can get it from the details of the database then again. Otherwise, you can get it from the configuration part here, username and stuff. Okay. The instance ID, see master username, AWS Gurus. The password, again, I have it as AWS Gurus that I know. So I'll just put it here. So you will have to update these things in the database. And then the database that we are having. So the database that we had created through client, guys, was what? The name was demo, correct? The database name was what? Demo. See, it was demo, na? See here, use demo, create database demo. So we had created the demo database. So the demo database, we are using it. Okay, so demo database, we'll use it. And then create an SQS client. So go to the client SQS, then connect to RDS MySQL instance. So MySQL connector.connect. And then host name is what? This is the host name. So I can just give that host name. Anyways, that need not have to be given in the quotes, correct? So the quotes are not required. So host name would be given as is without quotes, because it's like you're directly giving the host name, correct? Then the what? Then the username is not admin, but rather it is AWS Gurus, or you can say username is a user only. You can say user is user, because that AWS Gurus, you have already put it in user variable. Then password, you have put it in password variable. So since it's a variable, so it does not have to be put in single quotes. If it would have been a direct name, I had to put it in the single quotes. So this is all good. And then database, in the database variable name is there. Correct? So it could have been any other variable name. Whatever the variable name you have used here, you need to give that variable names here after equals to, correct? So my cursor is mydb.cursor, then receive messages from SQS queue. So I'll say SQS.receive message, then queue URL. So queue underscore URL is where you have the queue URL, correct? So I'm specifying that queue URL, then message response, then delete. I mean, see, you just don't have to get the messages from the queue, but you will have to then delete those messages from queue and then insert it into the table in your database. So I will delete the received messages from the queue then, and then from queue name is present in queue URL, correct? So that is here in queue URL variable, it is there, the queue URL. And then what? Then we will print this received and deleted message and the message body, and then we will get the customer name and address from the message. So whatever is the message that we'll get, name and address, that would be displayed, guys. That would be displayed and then would be inserted into the database. So I'm then going to write those record into the database. In which table? In customer table, because in my database, I have created the customer table. In that, I have the name and the address field. So see here also, we have the name and the address field. Okay, so that is what we are doing. We are committing it, mydb.commit, and then print inserted, record inserted in the database. That is what we are printing here. So guys, this is what the script is. I have just made you understand this script as well. Now let's just use this script. So I'll just go here and I am going to use it here on my backend VM. So I'll just paste it here. Correct. So this script is pasted, and then what I will say, I'll say escape :WQ. I'll save exit from this script. Okay. So I'll just save and exit this script. So I am good with this script. Okay. And yeah. And then what next? I am actually done now. So I will just get some, I'll use some commands now. Okay. So I will do what now? Okay. Fine. So I'll just give this sudo. Yeah, check entries. Not right now. Not right now. Let me execute this script now. Okay. Let me execute this script. I've just given that script, correct? So now let me execute this script. So I'll execute this. So what I'll say sudo nano get message .py. Maybe in this it is there now already. Okay, this is already there. So this is all good. fine. So I'll just say Control X. Okay, I am out of this. Okay, and then what I will type now is I'll say get message.py. Okay, yeah, Python 3 get message.py. That will serve me the purpose now. Okay, so I'll say Python 3 get message.py. Okay, I'll execute that. Okay, so I'll just say what? Python 3 get message.py and I'll execute this. Okay. Okay. Again, in this get message.py, there is that import error saying. Oh, why is that import error? Okay. Maybe I'll say vi. Okay. Get message dot py. Maybe in the copy pasting, I've done that error. In import time. Yeah, see again that import time instead of. So I'll just go to I and then I'll go to insert mode and then I will just give it there. There is this error. Import time. Escape : WQ. Okay, I'm out and let me execute that. Python 3 get message.py. See, received and deleted the message Peter USA. Record inserted in the database. Correct, guys? And now, how by pressing I, you can go to insert mode. Now, if you want to check it out, you can check it out in your database. So now you can just go to RDS and then guys in RDS, now from this client, from this cloud shell, you say select star from customers and you will see one record. See, can you see Peter USA? Yeah, can you see Peter USA, guys? So this one record has been inserted in your table. And not just this is inserted in your table, but this has been deleted from that queue. So if you want to see whether it has been deleted from the queue or not, so you can just go to SQS queue and then you can just see to it that it has been deleted from the queue. Okay, not just inserted in your table, but should have been deleted from the queue. So if you go to the demo queue, correct? If you go to the demo queue, and then if you go to send and receive messages, so you would see that if you poll the messages, then you will only see two messages here now. See two messages only, not three messages. Simon Australia and what? Clark Germany. Well, the first message has been deleted. Which message? Which message, guys? Peter USA is no longer there. Correct? Peter USA is no longer there. Okay, right? Now, let me just execute that command again. Then the second message will also be deleted. And if I'll execute that command the third time, then the third message will also be deleted and will be inserted into the queue. See the second message. Okay, I'll have to execute it again and then it will come up. See, received and deleted message, Simon Australia. Correct. So now Simon Australia has been received and deleted and put in the database. Then I'll execute it again. And now the Clark Germany has been also pulled from the queue, deleted from the queue and inserted in your database. You can go here. You can just check out in the queue. Two messages were showing. You can just refresh it and you will not see a single message. You can say poll for messages and this time you will not receive any message. See, you don't see any message. It's just polling only. It's not finding out any message. In fact, if you go to your demo queue directly, you can see that there are now 0 messages. If you refresh it, see, there are 0 messages available. No message in the queue. And if you go to your RDS client, okay, if you say select star from table name now, you will see all those 3 messages here. Peter USA, Simon Australia, Clark Germany. Isn't it, guys? It's all there. Yeah? Yes or no? Is this clear to all of you? Yeah? In one go, can we pull all the messages here? You can then run it maybe in a script again. You can give it and then you can run it in a while loop maybe, and then you can execute that script. Isn't it, Shraddha? Yeah. So that was there, guys, from my end. Yeah. So that's how you can execute it. Is it clear? Yeah. So we have actually executed this whole thing, this complete project, isn't it? Right. So front-end EC2 instance, pushing the messages in the queue, inserting the messages in the queue in AWS queue, then backend VM from Azure is pulling it out from the queue and deleting it and putting it into the table in our RDS database. And through the client, we are able to query that table. Correct. So yeah, that was it from my this particular demo was concerned. Yeah. Thank you. I hope it is clear to all of you. Yeah, I hope you liked it. Maybe how was it? Did you got it? Yeah.
Thank you, Dr. Purshottam, for an insightful session today.
Thank you.
I hope all our audience enjoyed what they learned today, and I would love to see your response on the chat. I'll quickly share my screen. We can discuss the further slides.
Yeah, I think they have liked it. Yeah. Thank you.
That's amazing. We have a very responsive audience today as well. So it was a really interactive session. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. And I will just give you this file as well in the chat window. I'll just put it because that script I was unable to put it. So maybe this data file, I'll just create it and I'll just put it in the chat window for you. You can get the script from this. Okay, you can proceed. Yeah, Akshay, on that. Please. Thank you.
Thank you everyone for your responses. Moving on, now that this is just one of the projects that you will be going through in the courses, which we'll be discussing in the few coming slides. There are many more projects like this, and looking at the enthusiasm today, I really think you guys will really enjoy the different projects in the course. So now that you know the different projects that we will be having and such projects you will be implementing, we would love to know what's really stopping you from becoming a cloud computing and DevOps expert. Is that you are not finding a completely comprehensive curriculum? Is it that you're not getting enough practical exposure that you have to become job ready? Or is it difficult to learn from pre-recorded videos? Or is your work schedule just not allowing the time? So I'll quickly launch the poll. You can punch in your answers. It's a multiple choice question. So you can punch in your multiple problems. If you can't find a comprehensive curriculum, you don't have practical exposure, or you find it difficult to learn from pre-recorded videos, or your work schedule doesn't allow you. I will keep the poll open for a few more seconds. I would request all of you to punch in your answers. Thank you all for your responses. As I can see, most of them have a variety of problems. They are not finding a comprehensive program, or is it that practical exposure is lacking in the courses, or it's difficult to learn from pre-recorded videos, or your work schedule doesn't allow the time. So to overcome all these challenges, Simplilearn has come up with a unique program called the Professional Certificate Program in Cloud Computing and DevOps. It's in collaboration with the IIT Guwahati, and it's a comprehensive, comprises of a comprehensive industry learning path. It has integrated labs and projects, which you just went through one of them. You'll have online virtual classrooms with live instructor interaction, just like how you experienced today. And it will also be flexible to fit your schedule. This program is about for 8 months, which you will be able to complete if you invest from 10 to 15 hours a week. Coming to the eligibility criteria of this program, you may not be, it's not necessary for you to be from a programming background. You need to have a high school diploma or equivalent, and you need to be at least 18 years of age. And there is no compulsion that you need to have any work experience to enroll for this program. This is how the program will build your development skills step by step. I would request Purshottam sir to just quickly take us through the steps and what will be the learnings from this program.
Right. So, see, first of all, we'll have introduction session for cloud computing bootcamp. Okay. If you opt for this course, then there'll be a course on AWS Cloud Fundamentals. So that will talk about the fundamental aspects in cloud in AWS specifically. So it would be like you will become jack of many services, not the master of them. Then in designing applications and architectures in AWS, you will master some services, good service and services, and you will understand the architect concepts, the design aspects in AWS Cloud that can help you in the architect role as well. Then, of course, you will go into Azure Cloud Fundamentals. So again, that will talk about the fundamentals of Azure related to like AZ900 Azure fundamentals, and you'll become jack of many services there, but not the master of them. Then you can study on implement, manage, and monitor on Azure environment. So that will help you get in the practical hands-on into Azure, implement, manage, and monitor on Azure environment. Then designing infrastructure solution on Azure. This is like architecting in Azure. So you'll see the design aspects also of it, and many services, the hands-on you will cover up. Then, of course, you come up with cloud computing bootcamp capstone project. So similar to these projects, one that we have taken here, which will include the multi-cloud structure in picture, like Azure, AWS, or maybe different cloud providers together, the services from them, and then we'll have the capstone project related to this. One of the examples just we have seen today, right? So that would be covered then later. And of course, so these are the compulsory things. So once you will complete all these things, you will get the certificate from the program certificate, correct? And apart from that, there are electives also. Like apart from these compulsory courses, you can also go for these electives. That is IIT Guwahati Faculty Masterclass. So the faculty from IIT Guwahati will take this masterclass for you. Then, of course, Google Cloud Platform Architect training. If you wish to, you can go for that as well. Now, these are not compulsories, but then you can opt for one or all of them as well. Big data on AWS, DevOps on Azure, Native AI Masterclass, and many more. Of course, that would be there, right? So these are things you'll go through.
Yeah, so the electives, you can take one or all of them. They are included in the price which comes with the program. So you don't have to pay anything extra for that. Coming to the projects, there'll be many such projects. One of them which we discussed today, deploy a multi-timer web app. Similarly, we have multiple projects which you can undergo during the program. And we will have our mentors guiding you through the projects step by step as did today. Moving on, we'll have some of the global leaders as program advisors. Dr. Gaurav Trivedi from INP and ICT at IIT Guwahati will also be a part of this program. Coming to, apart from the program, we also provide job assist service, which has 3 parts. We will help you with the resume job portal, where you'll be able to have a look at different jobs after the program and can apply for jobs, which will have a wide employer network. You'll also be given a resume review and rewrite service, which will help you enhance your resumes and land that dream interview that you're always looking for. We will also provide you with one-on-one interview service, where you'll be interviewed by some of the leading subject matter experts who will give you continuous feedback and help you improve your interviews as well. So now that you know what will be offered during the program, I would quickly run a poll if you would like to enroll for this IIT Guwahati Professional Certificate Program in Cloud Computing and DevOps. It's a simple yes or no answer. If you would like to enroll for the program, you can just punch in a yes. I would request all the participants today to punch in your responses, either yes or no. I'll keep the poll open for another 5 seconds. Thank you all for your responses. I'll end the poll now. I'll quickly run through the enrollment steps of this program. The 3 simple steps. Step 1, you need to send an application. You can just email us at askus@simplilearn.net. I will also post the course link in the chat so that it's easier for you to visit the course page and drop in your links as well there. Quickly paste the link here. Once you send in the application, our team at IIT Guwahati will review your application, your educational background, your work experience, and other things. And once it's approved, our learning consultant will contact you with the admission letter. That's the 3 simple steps. You just need to send an application and ask us at simplilearn.net. Coming to the program fees and enrollment schedule, the program is priced at 1,24,999, including taxes. We also have EMI options, which start from 4,254 rupees per month. If you are interested to enroll for the program immediately, our next cohort starts from the 2nd of December, and the induction session for the same cohort will be held on 8th of November. Let me remind our attendants today that there are limited seats available. So for every cohort, so I would request you to enroll immediately. So for any further assistance, you can always email us at askus@simplilearn.net. And we will be able to answer all your queries. So a quick poll, how soon do you plan to enroll? Is it immediately, within 3 months, or within 6 months, or maybe after 6 months? I would request all of you to punch in your responses so that we have an idea of when you'll be enrolling for the course. I would request all the participants to punch in their responses. I keep the poll open for a few more seconds. Great. Thank you all for your responses. And one last poll before we end the session for today. Do you need any assistance with the enrollment process? I quickly launch the poll. If you need any assistance, you can punch in a yes, and our team will get back to you and help you with the further steps. I would request all of you to punch in your answers. I keep the poll open for another 10 seconds before I close it. Thank you all for your responses. So that's the end of our session today. I would like to thank our mentor for today, Dr. Purshottam, for taking your time and explaining the project so beautifully. And it was a really insightful session for all of us. We saw the responses from our audience, and they really enjoyed it and learned something from it. And I'm sure many of them will join our learning community soon, and we'll see you on the other side. Thank you all for joining us today. I know it's a bit too late, but I apologize for the delay, but I really hope you have had a great learning session.
I even
Thank you.
apologize for the delay.
No
Took me
problem.
time.
We
Okay.
love the session.
Because that was quite lengthy, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So thank you for having me here. Yeah. Thank you, Akshay. Thank you, everyone. Yeah.
Thank you also. Yes, we will be sending you the recording of the session, so don't worry. We'll be sending a follow-up email. Before you leave, once you leave the webinar, you'll have a post-webinar survey. Please fill it up so that you'll be getting the recording in your email as well as the certificate for joining us today. Thank you all for joining us today. Good night and have a great day.